Hey guys, today I am talking with my good friend Seth Munsey. Seth is the creator of Disc Golf Strong. He's a strength and conditioning coach, and he started Disc Golf Strong to help disc golf athletes, perform better and not get injured. And that has led to an amazing career. You can't help but fall in love with Seth when you hear him speak, and that's one of the things I like about him. Anyway, this is a great conversation with a really good friend, and I think you're going to like it. Thanks for listening. Pull up a chair and buckle up. It's the Original Strength BodCast. Seth, so I got to tell you, when I first met you at your studio, you had a training studio like I have, where you did small groups and personal training things like that. Uh, to me, you set the bar.
Mm.
Like when I met you and I saw your place and I saw what you did and just how you carried yourself and how like the what do you call it, the environment, but the atmosphere of what you created. I
Mm.
wanted that when I wanted to have that when I in my spot.
Mm.
So dude, I love how you teach, how you carry yourself, your compassion, your attention to detail, but really your ability to treat people
Mm.
as if they matter. I thought was so impressive. And then you quit, you left, you sold your spot, and you became or you started Disc Golf Strong.
Yes. Yes, I did. I started Disc Golf Strong in 2016, and before that, I had my facility, Iron Republic, and thank you for that, Tim. I mean, it's always, our friendship has always been something that I cherish, and my connection to original strength has been such a huge part of who I am and how I teach as well. So, I've told you this before. Thank you for not only our friendship, but for your mentorship and everything that you've brought to not only us as health professionals, and fitness professionals, but also to the world. And I bring as much as I can, and it flows through what I bring to disc golf as well. And just I just wanted to touch on your observation. You said of how I connected with people and cared for the people that I worked with, that I had the pleasure and the opportunity to work with, and it really goes uh, back when I worked in an ambulance, and the empathy and the care for others, um, that I try to bring forward into everything I do. And really, when I worked in an ambulance, I used to be in the military, and everything was very strict, and there was policies and protocols to everything we did, and it's understandable, and we needed that. But then I brought that onto the ambulance, and I know you were in the fire service as well, and I was a reserve firefighter as well. Um, and when I would work on an ambulance, I'd be in the back. We'd run a 911 call, and we would be taking somebody to the hospital. I'd be in the back with the patient, and I would be going down the checklist. And I was interacting with the patient, but I was also just kind of like checking the boxes, and especially if it wasn't like a serious medical call, right? And one day I was taking a lady home. It was a call where we weren't responding to an emergency. We were taking somebody home, and from the hospital. So we show up, and the nurse tells me that, she has stage 4 cancer, and it's all throughout her bones, all throughout her body. And uh, essentially, she had about 24 hours to live. And so I said, okay, thank you. Let's get her in the back. And we got her in the back, and she was fully alert and talkative. And so I'm in the back with her. We're taking her back to her house in Laguna Beach, is where I was stationed out of. And I'm running down the list. I'm filling out the paperwork, sitting there next to her. And I asked her what her date of birth was, because I needed it for the paperwork. And she got quiet, and then she said her date of birth. And then it hit me, like, it just hit me. I looked at her face, and she's looking out of the back of the ambulance, and she's trying to soak in everything, knowing full well she has very limited time. And I thought, here I'm asking her for her date of birth on the day that she knows she's probably going to pass. And it just really impacted me. I put the clipboard down, put the pen down. I just started talking to her and trying to, I couldn't see life or what was happening through her perspective, but just trying to empathize and understand that this is her journey and I'm just here with her and I need to support her and not, run the, run the protocols and fill out the paperwork and get the insurance information like that. That's stuff I did not need to be doing right there at that moment, and in the fitness world, we can kind of get that way. It's like, all right, well, I got this checklist and I got this program and I got to go, and check everything off and not really sit there and try to as walk in their shoes at all. And we've really done a lot better job of that as a profession over the years, back from when we start, many years ago. But I stopped and we took her to the house and I brought in we took her out on the gurney and I said, I just stood there and let her look at soak it all in and look at her house and look at the ocean and the seagulls, flying over the water. And we took her inside and I said, would you like me to take you around the house? And so we pushed her around the house and let her see everything because we knew, and she knew that once we put her in the bed, that was where she was going to stay. And it had such a huge impact on my life. And not only in fitness, in my interactions and how I just see the world and see my experience with others is thinking about what they may be going through. And so that's where, at Iron Republic and also through Disc Golf Strong is really trying to empathize and understand that, it's their journey and my journey is my journey. And I'm there to be a Sherpa and to help guide them through and know that they've got so many things in their life that we can't even begin to understand, just like we have things in our lives that others won't understand and how we interact with our life. So, and I just encourage anyone that is listening and is to take that into account. And so I do that here at disc golf with what I do in disc golf as well with my athletes. I have programs and I have this and that, but they have lives and they have fears and they've got things that they have their past that it's impacting what they're doing today. So I take that into account and how I interact with them and the goals that we have moving forward.
Wow. When you were telling your story about that lady, like definitely working EMS calls made me a better person.
Mhm.
There are some calls that I will carry with me the rest of my life that I will never forget that changed me, especially my perspective on things. And oddly enough, they were terminal cancer patients as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Um, that stuff it'll change you.
Yeah, it will. It does. Yes. But yeah. So as I said, hopefully those that are listening, they start to, I'm sure they are. I'm sure many of them are. Like I said, we've come a long way in our profession. Where it's not the screaming and yelling and stuff of the old, coaches, the football coaches, and this and that. It's people are empathy and autonomy and looking at the whole person. That's something that Original Strength has always done. And that's what really drew me to Original Strength. And I was at that first Original Strength in 2013 at our friend Rick Garcia's gym, and it was 2 days and you and Jeff were out there and it was a lot of fun. And like I said, it's always made a huge impact on my life. So I'm excited to be on this podcast here talking with you about it. And I'm talking about disc golf as well.
Awesome. Well, okay, so disc golf. So you closed down Iron Republic, and you can correct me? Did you become the first strength and conditioning coach for disc golf ever?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I started Disc Golf Strong. I still remember it was like 2015. I had on Republic and I told Tiffany, my wife, I said, I think I didn't have any intention of closing down on Republic when I started Disc Golf Strong. I said, I love disc golf and I see so many of the other players that I'm playing with, they're injured or they're, not getting the results that they want on the course. And I'm a strength conditioning coach. got my degree in it, and anti-rotational sports. I worked in the sport of hockey for a little bit as an intern strength coach for an NHL team. And I thought, you know what? I think I can help. And so I started Disc Golf Strong, and I looked and there was no one doing it. And that wouldn't stop me. I still felt like I had something to share. And so I started Disc Golf Strong in the beginning of 2016, and it started to grow and started to share with the disc golf community. And in 2017, I closed my gym and went full time into Disc Golf Strong. And then this year, this past February, 2021, I was hired by the Disc Golf Pro Tour, which I've been partnering with for many years. They asked me if I would like to come on full time as the director of health and sports performance for Disc Golf Pro Tour, and also as the safety director. So I accepted that role, and I'm out here at one of our big Disc Golf Pro Tour events in Vermont right now. That's kicking off soon this week. And then I also am the chair of the PDGA Medical Committee, which we started back in 2019. And so it's been a wild ride. When I first told Tiffany, hey, I think I want to start something in disc golf, she was like, in disc golf? Well, are you serious? And she's been 100% supportive, but it's crazy to see where it's come from 2016, just the idea in 2015, launching in 2016, to where not only Disc Golf Strong has come, and to have what we're doing for the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and them wanting a full-time director of health and sports performance, but just the Pro Tour, and where the sport of disc golf has come. We were on ESPN2 recently. There's more down the line with that, and so we're really excited.
There are so many amazing things about that. And by the way, congratulations, because that's just amazing.
Right.
But what was really was fun, and this is funny and it's sad for me, but I didn't even know that there was a pro, that disc golf was pro, or a
Mhm.
pro tour, or anything. Like, I thought it was something you did at the park,
Yeah.
and that was it until I met you. I had no idea that they were professional disc
Yeah.
golfers. Is that what you call them, disc golfers?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, there's a Disc Golf Pro Tour, and it's been around for a long time. And well, professional disc golf has been around for a long time. Disc Golf Pro Tour started in 2016, but professional disc golf tournaments are we have a PDGA, which is like a PGA, the Professional Disc Golf Association. So they've been having national tour and majors, world championship events for a long time. The sport started in about the 60s. The first course went in California in 1975. But you had heard of disc golf, and I've played disc golf out near you when I would come out for OS Pro. There's a course right nearby in North Carolina there. And I'll be in Charlotte soon, next month. But this is one of the great things about disc golf is anybody can do it. It's a lifelong sport. It's a sport that's accessible to everyone and anyone. You can play by yourself. You can play with your family. I take my daughters out on the course with me and my wife. We all go out and play. You can be competitive with others. You can be competitive with yourself. It's accessible to anyone and everyone, and it's great for physical benefits, mental benefits. We call it a walk in the woods with a purpose, and we're excited to share it with everyone.
So for someone that competes in disc golf, what were some common, before you started helping people, what were some common injuries that disc golfers would have?
Yeah, great question. So really, the first issue that we had in disc golf was no one warmed up, and because disc golf, even though there was professional disc golf, it was still treated and somewhat felt like it was a hobby. So even though there was professional disc golfers making money, and now so much more money, our number one, our highest paid professional disc golf athlete just signed a 10-year, $10 million contract in the off season, and we have multiple disc golfers making multiple six figures. So it's an actual, we're not NFL money yet, but not even close. But you can make a living as a professional disc golf athlete now. But no one warmed up. They didn't see it as like a sport, like an athlete, like you needed to be an athlete, or at least continually improve your athleticism for the sport. But that's why when I first started Disc Golf Strong in 2016, I would say disc golf athlete, and I would call them all disc golf athletes because I wanted them to adopt the identity of I'm an athlete. And if I'm an athlete, then I have to do that. It's probably best that I do things that athletes do. Um, and because if not, none of this makes sense. So we warmed up and that helped a lot. But the number one injury in disc golf is the overuse injury. And it can show up in your shoulders, it can show up in your hips, your knees, your lower back, your ankles, your neck. It can show up many places, your elbow especially, but it's the overuse injury. And I say that because the best thing about disc golf is you can play every day. You can literally play every day in multiple rounds a day, and there's people that do it. But the worst thing about disc golf is you can play every day. And so we are prone to overuse injuries, and many people in the sport, especially on amateur level, don't train their bodies. They don't do any recovery. Even, it's mostly passive recovery of, hey, I'm just sitting on a couch and I'm not actively playing right now, or I'm sitting at work, but they're not doing active recovery. They're not warming up. So that's something that we've really been changing. So the short answer to your question is, let's just go with a body part. Let's say elbows and lower back and shoulders, if I'm going to pick three, but really it's an overuse injury. We're throwing way too much.
How, I guess it's different. So like I love throwing a frisbee,
Mm.
but a disc is quite different than a frisbee. So for a disc golfer, do they mainly just throw one side, or is it like frisbee where you can throw both? Or
Yeah,
if
yeah, great question. There's so much variability in how you can throw even just in one round on the course. So you can throw backhand where that looks it looks as closely resembles a throwing a frisbee. How most people throw a frisbee is across their body, and they're and then there's forehand or a sidearm, and that's where you're throwing it across your body, but it looks more closely to like a pitcher, um, and a let's just use the tennis analogy. Like everyone knows the backhand, and
Mhm.
most people know a backhand in tennis, right? And a forehand in tennis, right? I don't know. Do they call it forehand? What do they call it?
I am sadly not a tennis player either.
Yeah, I
Don't
don't
know.
know. Maybe most people know pickleball, whatever it's that's sweeping the nation,
That's
right?
the new thing.
Exactly. But we have to throw from so many different angles, depending on where our lie is. So it's played like golf, where you have a teeing location for that hole, and then you have a basket that with chains, metal chains that the you have to get the disc into in the fewest amount of throws possible. And um, so you may be stuck behind trees where now you have to be on one knee and you have to be really splayed out, and you have to have throw in positions that you don't normally throw in, and we call them like patent pending positions. um, so that's one of the reasons why there's so many variability is you just really have to express a lot of different movement variability out there when you're throwing.
So you said nobody warmed up, so there were overuse injuries. Do is it now becoming more common for like do disc golfers, do they lift weights, do they do, like what is a typical routine? Or I guess it's probably pretty much all over the board depending on the person maybe.
It is, yes, depending on their uh, not really their skill level, but their training age. Um, one of the important things that I really took and held on to when I started Disc Golf Strong was that I want to bring to the sport. I want to bring health and fitness and wellness and training and all that to the sport, but I want to do it in a way that um, is progressive and it meets the sport and the athletes where they're at. Right. So I started out with just body weight with a lot of OS movements. So, and I remember back in like it was 2016 or 2017, I partnered with one of the big disc golf manufacturers. And they were like, "Hey, we'd love for it to have a series of some exercises you can do. And would you be open to doing that?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I did a whole series of videos for them, and they were all body weight, and they were all movements that anybody can do. And they were like, "Oh, thank you. So do you not believe in like resistance training with weights and stuff and bands?" I said, "Oh, I love that. Absolutely." Said, "But I want every disc golfer to be able to watch this video, push their chair away from the table or get off the couch, get on the ground and start doing it right now and start having a positive impact right away in their movement and their health." And not have those barriers of like, "Oh, well, I don't have a gym membership," or, "Oh, I don't have the right equipment," or so we're very much ground based or body weight focused in the very beginning, and then moving up and really, I tell that my athletes, you have to earn the right to use a weight and when it's needed, when it's necessary. So I wanted quality strength and conditioning as a part of it. And that's been a big thing over the years. People are like, disc golfers will be like, "Oh, Seth, why, I heard you like kettlebells. Why aren't you showing kettlebell swings or kettlebell snatches?" I said, "Because that's not where the sport's at right now. Like, we just need to learn how to move our bodies." Because many of the disc golf athletes, and this is not just for disc golf, like for many sports people play, let's say pickleball, right? That it's sweeping the nation. And there's going to be a lot of pickleball injuries, I'm sure, and table tennis injuries, and like a lot of injuries where people think that if they to make any sort of appreciable impact in their health and fitness for their sport, that they have to go to a gym, they have to buy a complete set of kettlebells or dumbbells or all the latest equipment. And they can start making an impact right away with a lot with OS, right? And that will help them become a better, more resilient athlete. And so I look at our sport, and why I brought up pickleball and all these other sports is that we had professional disc golf athletes that their skill levels unbelievable. Like, it's not going and throwing a frisbee at a park with your friends. I mean, they're throwing 500-600 feet, off the tee and parking it next to a basket. They're throwing 300-400 feet easily, like even
Wow.
just like I mean, and they're throwing around trees and over. I mean, it's you watch if you go just I encourage people to type in disc golf or disc golf pro tour in the YouTube, and you can watch a lot of it for free and you'll see what they're doing, and it's unbelievable. But their training age is, for many of them, is very low. We have a few athletes that were like played baseball or played football or played soccer where they had some coaching, but a lot of them, they had no idea how to hip hinge. They had no idea how to disassociate their, upper body and their lower body. They had no idea, the single leg deadlift. I mean, it was just falling all over the place. They had no single leg stability or very poor single leg stability. So I met them where they're at on their training, and so we did a lot of body weight and we did a lot of intentional movements to build all that stability up, and that reflexive stability, which I know is huge when we talk about an OS, that reflexive strength, before we add in all the weights.
So, with your new responsibilities for the tour, what is that? What's that like? What does that encompass?
Yeah, so I still have disc golf strong, which is now more focused towards the amateur disc golf athlete, the recreational disc golf athlete. And on the tour, the disc golf pro tour, it's some of what I was doing before, which is we have a athletic performance zone at every event that the athletes all can access, and they can come before their rounds, they can come after their rounds. They warm up. We have percussive therapy, guns for afterwards, and other foam rollers and things that they want to use, if they want, that's available to them all the time. And then I'm on the road where our season's from February to October. And so I'm on the road at all the events. I'm there if they have injuries to help them. I don't diagnose them. I'm not a doctor or a physical therapist. So we have, create a network of providers on the road that they can see. And then I'm also coming from the ambulance and the fire department, fire and Coast Guard search and rescue kind of background. Is I'm doing emergency action plans for every event, getting in contact with the fire departments and the ambulance, let them to know we're here. If an injury happens out on the course, where's the egress routes, lightning, air quality issues, tornadoes, like all that pre-planning. I have AEDs and medical bags on site, so if something happens, I can respond. You're talking about health, long-term health insurance, and all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of things now that I'm doing that was not part of original Disc Golf Strong, but now as the Disc Golf Pro Tour is the safety director side of it. So we have off-season training, in-season training. So there's a lot to it.
That's awesome. So how is it getting to travel everywhere? Like, I mean, I imagine you're going to some really neat places.
It is. It's been amazing. I've got to go to a lot of unbelievable places and a lot of parts of the country where, like I was going to say San Francisco, but we had a pro tour event in San Francisco at a golf course. But most of the time, I'm not going to like, Manhattan. We're going to parts where they have a lot more open property where they could put these championship level disc golf courses on. So, I'm out in Jonesboro, Arkansas, or, outskirts of Nashville, Tennessee, or, like outside of Portland, Oregon. So we're getting to see some beautiful parts of the country that, I many times people wouldn't just jump on a flight and fly and travel for a vacation. Um, I went in 2019. I went to Europe for like 32 days, and I went to 5 different countries: Finland, Estonia, Denmark, Sweden, and Norway, and taught disc golf strong workshops there. And it's been it's been an unbelievable experience. But it's a lot of time on the road. I'm on the road all the time. But next year, my wife and my 2 daughters are going to be joining me on the road in an RV full time for at least a year, maybe 2, as we travel around, and they're going to experience the road with me and get to visit national parks, and we homeschool them. And so I'm looking forward to that. So the hardest part has been away from family, but it's been very, very rewarding experience. So we'll be back in Europe next year. We missed because of COVID this year, but the disc golf is unbelievably big overseas. Finland has more courses, disc golf courses per capita than anywhere else in the world. It's almost the national sport there. So we're going to be a lot of overseas travel as well in the future.
Man, I am so happy for you. Like, you are living and you deserve all of it, dude. You're such an amazing person. So for the amateur
Yeah.
that wants to get into disc golf and that wants to get their body stronger, where can they go?
Yeah, I encourage everyone to try out disc golf. Most courses are pay to play or are free to play. There are some pay to play, but you can just go and get a disc or two. Get a putter and get a couple putters and a 1 or 2 putters in mid range. You can go out and you can play, and there's courses all over. So first, let me tell everyone, if you go to UDisc, it's not my company, but it's a very close friends of mine. There's an app called UDisc, UDISC, and you can download that app for free, and you can go hit the course search feature, and you can find all the disc golf courses near you, and you can click on that disc golf course and you can see how many holes it is. There's reviews on there. So if you're wondering, disc golf sounds like it'd be something fun to try, but I don't know where the courses are at, or I don't know what to do, just go on there, and you can get on your computer as well. You can go to udisc.com and you can find local courses around you to start playing. And great thing that distinguishes this from golf is you can go out and you can play 9 holes. You can go out and play 2 holes. You can start on 16 and play 16, 17, 18 if that's all you have time for or that's all you feel like playing, right? You can play by yourself or you can invite some friends. You can look up disc golf leagues or disc golf clubs. There's disc golf clubs everywhere, all over the country with friends that are playing, one night a week, 2, 3 nights a week, competitive rounds, fun rounds. So I encourage everyone to do that because this sport is amazing. It's a great way to get outdoors and be active. The sport of disc golf grew by 33% during COVID, and
Which makes sense.
annual signups, yeah, our annual like PDGA memberships grew by like 88% or so in 2020.
So it sounds like the perfect sport or activity or hobby to relieve stress because you get outside in nature, go through parks, you get to take walks, and you get to throw something and let off some steam or just breathe fresh air.
Oh
It
my
does
gosh.
sound perfect for relieving to the stress of the world.
It is, Tim. It is so great. You just get out there and you can throw a couple and you can learn very quickly. It's impossible to master, but it is easy to get started. Everyone can throw a frisbee, throw a disc, and they're different from frisbees. They do look different, they do fly different. But anyone can learn to throw one very quickly and start having some success with it. Um, but so to your first question there, for that long answer was discgolfstrong.com, and more specifically like discgolfstrong.com/performance. And that's where we have like a free warm-up ebook where people can download and go through many of the foundational pre-round warm-up exercises that I do with the athletes on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So that's a great way to get the warm up in. And then I have like my Instagram, Disc Golf Strong, and Facebook and things like that. But yeah, that's where they can find it.
Awesome. Seth, thank you so much for sharing your passion with us. It was really great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate it. Again, it's such an honor of mine to be part of the show and to share with others disc golf and our great sport, and to just keep everybody moving, right? And just move the world. I still honestly wear the shirt I wear the most often. I wear two shirts more than probably any others. Is one shirt is keep your head up, and that's an OS shirt, and then the other is move the world. And I wear it at disc golf tournaments or disc golf events. People are like, what does move the world mean? I'm like, let me tell you. And then they say, keep your head up. And I say, yeah, absolutely. Keep your head up. And they, however you want to interpret it, but let me share with you some movements that you can do to help keep your head up. And yeah, love it being here. And thanks again, Tim.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a great weekend.